Thank you for taking the time to do this interview. I know how extremely busy you are with everything that you're doing in the band, outside the band, and I know it didn't work, unfortunately, back in February on the Cradle of Filth tour, but I'm glad you were able to take a few minutes to do it this time around on your first headlining run in North America.
My pleasure. It's been such a fantastic tour so far, and it's definitely difficult to take even a few minutes out from all the crazy schedule and stuff that we have going on, but it's just, been a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, and it's a pleasure for me. I've been a fan since 2009, since I had a friend recommend the Aurora Veil to me, and just hearing those 3 songs on that EP just floored me and my way of thinking when it came to music. And of course you guys had a lot of trials and tribulations over the years before Portal of I came out, and I was just so excited to see that you guys finally got a full-fledged album out. And of course now a couple years back, getting Citadel out there, the second full release. It's just fantastic to see through all the trials and tribulations that you guys are here in North America and doing a fantastic headlining run.
It's amazing. A lot of people aren't even aware that we actually started this band almost 13 years ago. Because to most people, they think of us as like a new, like emerging band or something like that. But it's been this really crazy journey where, in the year before Portal I came out in 2012, the band barely existed. Benji had been deported, was stuck in France for almost a year and a half, and at that stage our drummer Dan had quit the band, and most of the guys were talking about quitting because we didn't have a full band. We didn't know if we were ever going to get an album out or if ever play shows again. And then basically from the moment we released Portal of I, everything just started to change, and all of a sudden, like 9 years of hard luck stories and trials and tribulations started to turn our way. And it's still been a tough road, but it's just been continually one step forward after the other over the last few years, and it's really exciting to see how well things have been going, and to be here on a headline tour. I mean, we were just here we're opening for another band just a few months ago, so it's been pretty crazy.
Oh yeah, I mean, the success of Portal of I was fantastic for me to see, and it just gave me that hope that one day I wouldn't have to travel to Australia to be able to see you guys. But now with the success of Citadel and all of the great crowdfunding stuff that you guys have been a part of, which really shows that the fans do care about you guys, and being able to do all of these world tours and opening for Cradle of Filth here, opening for Enslaved coming up, I mean, it's just fantastic to see.
Yeah, I mean, we've been really fortunate to get some amazing opportunities supporting some great bands. I mean, we did, I think, about 65 shows around the world with Cradle of Filth, which is just an incredible opportunity for us to play to hundreds of people every single night all around the world. It's been a privilege to be able to do that and be able to expose our music to lots of different people and then come back and now headline.
Yeah, I mean, that was the only thing that disappointed me about the Cradle of Filth tour was you guys only got to do 4 songs, and now I got to see like the full set, which was 7 songs, but still, I mean, just...
But one of the extra songs was like 17 minutes, so they're pretty
for anyone not familiar, I mean, Obliviscaris is known for having longer songs. But yeah, I mean, you guys hit like almost all of my favorite songs on there. And all of my other favorite songs were the ones that you didn't play, so I guess it was kind of easy for me. But just being able to see like over an hour of you guys, and just seeing how fun and exciting the show is, how into it you get, which is awesome. I mean, last time you climbed up on me to do a crowd surf, and then this time just like seeing you jump around on stage and stuff, it's just so cool.
Well, I mean, I guess like I just try to channel the energy from the music and from the audience. And tonight was really easy because, from the moment we walked out on stage, the crowd was really hyped up and having a great time. And it's really an amazing thing to like look out in the audience and see so many, smiles and so many faces like filled with the joy of the music, because like, yeah, we play metal and it's intense and whatever, but like we do this because we love it and we put a lot of passion into it. And when you see that reflected in the faces in the audience, it's really a special thing because, I love music and I love going to see bands play, and I'm that same person out in the audience looking up at bands thinking, wow, this is incredible. And it's really a special thing to be able to look out and have people looking at us that way. And so it's just a combination that, it really makes me really happy to be able to do it.
Yeah, and of course you guys don't just play metal. I mean, Puric is a great example where you have that extended post-rock movement as well, which I'm a huge post-rock fan, and when I first heard that, when I first bought Citadel, it's just, I loved hearing your guys' input on that, and just being able to explore all these different possibilities, because there's some people out there who think like, oh, you can only play this, this, and this, but you guys are showing that you can put any genre together and make it sound perfect. I mean, you can have the melodic moments, the heavy moments, the post-rock moments, all of these great moments, as long as you want to put that music into there.
Yeah, I think we really don't care what it sounds like as long as we like it. So, that's really the way we are. There's no boundaries, and nothing is off limits as long as we all like it. And in general, we found that if we really like something and we release it, then, our fans will agree, which is fantastic. So, it's definitely one of those things that it's been amazing to, take those risks, I guess, as some bands would look at them and then have them pay off. I mean, when we were writing Period and we came up with that second half, I was kind of joking. I used to refer to it as the Rosetta section because I'm a huge Rosetta fan.
Oh yeah, me too.
And I was like, this is kind of a little bit like we're ripping off Rosetta, and I love those guys. And we hadn't done something like that before, and I'm sure on the next album, I already know like we have stuff on that album that we haven't done before, and we'll just keep doing that. I think I would get bored if albums were too similar. So I think the one thing people can expect from us is just to be doing a little bit different every time.
Oh yeah, I mean, I wouldn't expect a Port Levi 2 or a Citadel 2. I mean, my favorite albums are the albums where the bands are actually into the music that they're making, rather than just making sure that the fans are going to like it because they like the last album.
Sure.
When you go out there and be adventurous and create the music that you want to make, it really shines through, and I always appreciate that as a musician as well.
Yeah, I think fans can tell when something's authentic. I think that if you put your heart and your soul into something, then people can feel that in the music. And if it's too forced, if you think too much about it, if you're trying to be too much of this or that, then it can end up getting away from the essence of the real emotion and feeling in the music.
Yeah, very much so. And speaking of the next album, is there anything you can talk about with that yet, or is that too early to tell?
We're writing it. Basically, we have 4 or 5 songs that we're working on at the moment. None of them are totally finished. All of them have ideas that we think are great. And I have no idea how it's going to turn out, but we're really excited. We've got tons of ideas, and I'm really, really confident that it's going to be the best album we've done, basically. Yeah. But yeah, it'll probably be sometime next year it'll be out. I don't know when, but definitely next year.
Yeah, and with 4 or 5 songs, that's easily a double, if not triple album.
Yeah, well, I mean, Citadel was only really kind of 3 songs in a way. I mean, 6 tracks, but it was kind of just the three big, huge songs. So we'll see. I'm not really sure how it's going to turn out, but we're definitely very excited about the new stuff that we're writing.
With that said, do you feel the songwriting for the band has gotten stronger over the years as compared to like the Aurora Veil to Citadel?
Yeah, it's changed a little bit. I mean, I think that I love the songs on Port Levi and the Aurora Veil and stuff like that, but they're written over the course of many years, and we were still learning and developing our sound. Citadel was more written mainly in like a 6-9 month period. Like 80-90% of that was written in like one sort of time frame, and so it sounds a bit more cohesive. Whereas Port Levi is more like 7 short stories that are all quite separate. And so the ability to write stuff that links together and joins together like Citadel was definitely a newer thing, and something I really enjoyed doing. I'm a huge fan of albums like Dream Theater's Scenes from a Memory, or Between the Buried and Me's Colors, or things like that. These albums that just go flow start to finish, and that was not something that we deliberately did from the start with Citadel. It was just something that kind of developed as we were writing. We're like, actually this kind of fits with this, and this kind of fits with that, and if we deliberately put something there and there, all of a sudden we can just get this album that basically, we have like 23 minutes that flows constantly with Painters of the Tempest, and then another sort of 23 minutes from period through to end of the Army Colossus that basically flows without any gaps as well. So we're just really excited about what we're doing. I don't know if it's necessarily better. I mean, I guess we're definitely better in lots of different ways, but it's always hard to be a little bit objective on that sort of stuff. The main thing is that we love it. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I still go back and listen to the Aurora Veil because that just makes me go back to when I discovered you guys and just open up my mind to different ideas of what you can do with metal, which I've always appreciated. And being able to do things like I'd never heard in metal before, like doing cleans over blasts and all these great symphonic moments I never really realized before outside of Emperor, and just like all these really cool things that you guys have done. And I just know, like, with pushing the territory of what you guys are doing, which I'm sure will be on the next album as well, keeping it authentic the way that you guys are, I just know I'll love everything that you guys put out.
Well, I hope that's the case. We'll definitely do our best not to disappoint.
So right before you guys went into the last song before the encore, you were talking about how appreciative you are of all the fans that are out there, which I'm happy to say that I can be one of them as well, for all of the crowdsourcing and the Patreon, which is wildly successful, which I'm just so very happy to see. Of course, there's people on the internet that are always going to complain, but that's just the internet for you. But that real real fan base is out there for you guys, being able to have it a little bit closer to getting this to be a full-time career, that's going to be an amazing feeling for you, doesn't it?
Oh, it's incredible. I mean, the last year, like most of the last year has been this really kind of mixed feeling because, from last June, well, actually really from the early last year, we went to India and we, did a couple festivals there playing to like 12,000 people. And, in the middle of the year, went and played through Japan and Israel and festivals in Europe, some of the biggest metal festivals in the world, like Hellfest and Grasshop. And, it was absolutely incredible. And people would talk to me like I was a big success and, like I was, this big successful musician. But the reality was every single one of these tours, we were, losing tens of thousands of dollars and we weren't really getting paid very much. And so it was this weird thing where we were kind of living our dream, but our dream was sending us broke and people started to get fired from their jobs back home. And then we only would come home for 6 weeks and it wasn't a long enough time for people to be able to get a new job. So people would sort of, be borrowing money or, moving back in with their parents or, or getting out loans or all sorts of stuff just to try to keep things afloat. And it was just this kind of weird situation where like, our dream had kind of come true and our dream was sending us broke. And, we kind of realized as well, the more we talked to other bands, that it wasn't just us, that there was a lot of bands that people think of as, like prominent international bands, a lot of these, mid-level bands, not the big headliners are playing 1,000 every night, but, most of the bands below that level were struggling and not really doing that well financially. Most of them, wanted to do it because they loved it. But at the same time, like when you've got, like a wife or you've got, kids or any of that sort of stuff, I mean, you have to earn money. And if you're away half the year, not earning any money, and then you go home and you've been fired from your day job, you can't do that forever. That's not something that anyone can sustain. So we only had two choices. We either scaled back what we did and we do it less. And we kind of thought, well, that's not really what our fans want. If we went to our fans and said, well, we don't have any money, so we can't do it very much. Well, we might come every 2 or 3 years to the US or Europe or whatever. Our fans would go, well, that sucks. So instead of just accepting that, we came out with that idea for doing that membership campaign through the Patreon platform. And basically, like we have in the past, put it to our fans that this is the situation, just try to be open and honest about where things are at for bands at our level and see if they would support us. And, it's been a huge success. And, we're still not where we need to be to do this full time, but we're at the stage now where, we're at least scraping by, with the help of our fans, and hopefully can keep moving forward and we can get more support on board. And then hopefully before long, this can be what we do for a living.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the great thing about what you're doing. I mean, there's, of course, with Kickstarter and all these other pledge campaigns for like essentially like a pre-order for the next album is a way to look at it. But with the Patreon, it's really being able to keep that band afloat and making sure that they can still tour, still make the albums and stuff like that. And really, it's no different than like buying a CD a month or going to a show a month.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, like I said on stage tonight, I spoke about how, it's not just us, a lot of great bands that you and everyone else likes aren't making any money, and behind the scenes are having discussions about whether to tour more or less or whether to even keep going. There's a lot of people who, a lot of people aren't aware that your favorite band that the guitarist left or the drummer left or whatever, a lot of time it's because of money, and they're just not honest about it because they don't want to say I quit because I'm going broke and we don't earn any money. Like more and more people in the industry are starting to be more honest about the realities of the industry, which is a good thing because it used to be that everyone used to look up to musicians like these famous idolized rock stars sort of bullshit, but that's not reality. And the problem with people idolizing people in bands is that they go, well, they're playing to all these people. And like, when we announced the Patreon thing, actually one of our fans, I saw a post on Facebook, saying something along the lines of that, it was a bad look for us to be playing some of the biggest festivals in the world to 10,000 people and then to be saying that, we're not earning any money. And he was like, it's just not a good look. And I'm like, well, but this is why we're saying it, because there's this perception that just because you played a lot of people, therefore you're getting paid a lot, And the reality is that with some of these festivals, you get offers literally, hey, we will put you on, but we can't pay you anything. And so that's literally what some festivals offer to bands on our level, like some of the biggest festivals, because they don't need us. They don't need a lot of bands, but we need the exposure. There's a lot of bands that would be desperate to get exposure to play to 5,000-10,000 people wherever. And, and like not all festivals are like that. Some festivals pay you what you're worth, but as a new band, that might be 1,000, 2,000, even, you might get paid 4,000 or 5,000, but then your flight from from Scandinavia to where you're in France or whatever, it might cost you $3,000, and then your accommodation and whatever, all of a sudden you actually haven't made any money, and it cost you $15,000 to get from Australia. So when you finish the tour, you still end up $20,000 in debt. A lot of people just aren't aware of all this stuff, and so it's not about, you know, saying, oh, woe is us or whatever. It's just about being honest about the situation and saying, well, you know what, if people want this music to continue and they want us to tour a lot, well, then get involved, whether it's $1 a month or, you know, $200 a month or whatever, you know. It doesn't matter as long as people are just getting involved in any way, big or small, because, you know, that's the reality that, you know, earlier in the year we came here and we played here in February and we had no money at the end of that tour, and then all of a sudden our fans got involved with Patreon. It's not donations, we're doing a lot for that, we're offering membership to all sorts of different things that come along with that, and all of a sudden 4 months later here we are again. And so it's literally a case of people want to see us, they support us, and so for us that's worked really well, and I think it's something that could work for a lot of bands here as well.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying earlier. It's like you guys are breaking mold when it comes to this Patreon, just being able to have this new idea about their supporting the bands that you really do care about, and like buying a CD a month or buying a t-shirt a month or something like that, just to keep your favorite bands going. And it's not like you're just asking for handouts either. I mean, when people donate X amount of money, you're actually giving back as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the idea. I mean, what we're trying to do is develop a new level of interaction between fans and the band. You know, I mean, the digital age and the internet ruined the old music industry model where everyone bought CDs and bands earned money that way. But it created an opportunity for bands to connect with fans in ways that were not possible in previous generations. So really, it was just trying to work out how to monetize that. I mean, that's like the reality, that you got 10,000 of fans who 20 years ago would have bought CDs and you would have made money that way. And now the culture is different. A lot of people have said, you know, you got to buy CDs, you know, pleading with people, you know, fans and whatever. It's just, it's not the way it's happening. Some people will, that's great. You know, we'll always keep, you know, offering CDs and vinyl and, you know, digital downloads and all that sort of stuff. But the reality is that there's so much music out there that people aren't going to pay for every album that they ever listen to. And so we basically made the decision to give up on trying to turn things back to the 90s and work out how do we make the most of this incredible with fans in, you know, this social media digital age. And, you know, this membership system is what we came up with.
Yeah, and it's a great way to go about it too. I mean, just like you said, like not everyone is going to buy the CDs, because, I mean, the positive that comes from the internet is so many bands that may not have ever gotten exposure before can actually get exposure if the right people check them out. And of course, with the downside of that being illegal downloading, not making the money that at least in the old formats of the music industry, the money you deserve to make. So it comes from merchandising, touring, and Patreon is a great example. And being able to, for some people, I mean, like, I'm in a very fortunate position where I get promos for my radio show and interviews and stuff like that, and being able to promote bands that way. But I always try to buy the music when I can, but whenever I can't, I want to go to the shows and buy merch and make sure that I can pay for a ticket and get a couple t-shirts like I did back in February, and a wall hanger, which I just picked up tonight, which I can't wait to hang that up when I get home. But again, with like the Patreon, because, you know, it's like you can't hit every single spot that's out there in the world, but some bands really want to make sure, or some fans want to make sure that their favorite bands can keep going. And that's the amazing thing about Patreon, is you can contribute just a little bit to be able to help keep that going.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, and it provides us an opportunity to connect even more so with our fans all across the world. And, you know, I know you said you can't go everywhere in the world, but we'd like to try.
Oh, yeah.
You know? I mean, it's one of those things where, you know, we've been at so many places that, you know, I can't even keep track of how many countries we've been to in the last 18 months. It's insane, you know. Like, my dad actually was in politics when I was a kid, and he traveled around a lot for that. And I remember having a discussion with him just, you know, a few months ago about, oh, I was just going here or whatever, and I was like, oh, you know, you've been there? And he was saying that he hadn't. And in my head, the idea that I had been places that he hadn't seemed kind of crazy, because when I was a kid, it seemed like he'd been everywhere. And then, you know, now all of a sudden, it seems like we almost have, you know, like we've been to Israel and the Middle East, and we've been all throughout Asia and North America and Europe and UK, and there's still places on the list that we want to get to. You know, we'd love to go down through, you know, Central and South America, and even somewhere like, you know, Russia or South Africa, or, you know, we'd love to go everywhere if we can. And the reality is that the more fans support us, the more financing we have to do that. You know, because the reason bands don't go everywhere is because there's some places where you can't make any money going there. But we're happy to go somewhere if we can do it without losing 10 or 20 grand. You know, like if we get an opportunity to go somewhere and it's not going to cost us that much money, it's not even about making a lot of money, because we do this for the love, you know. So it's just just about trying to find that balance, you know, and that's what is really difficult in this industry.
Yeah. And that's why I feel so fortunate that one of my favorite bands have not only come here once supporting Cradle Filth, but being able to do a great headlining show here tonight. And when I discovered the Aurora Veil, it's like, I remember all the struggles that were going on with the band. It's like, well, it's a pipe dream. I'm probably never going to be able to see them unless I can afford my visa and passport to be able to get down to Australia. But, you know, it's like several years later, you know, it's like you guys are finally starting to pick up momentum, and all the way back to just doing this awesome North American headlining tour, touring with the first band that opened for you guys, Black Crown Initiates here in the States. And just as a fan for this long, I just could not be happier for you guys to be in this state. And I just hope that all of this continues to keep growing. I hope the Patreon continues to flourish and you guys are able to create all the albums that you can musically.
Thank you so much, man. It's you know, everything's been going even better than we could have hoped, really. I mean, to be honest, a couple of years ago we'd almost given up on the idea of, you know, doing this for a living. I mean, even a year ago, you know, we'd kind of given up on that because the reality of how hard it was to make money touring as an Australian band started to hit us. And so the fact that things are starting to turn, and like I said, there's still a way to go, but you know, we're moving in the right direction now, and you know, we feel really fortunate, and definitely looking forward to the years ahead.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's like I was listening to the crowd tonight as they were walking past me. Some people have never heard of you before. Some of them were just here for the local, but you won them all over, and I saw them buying merch after the show, and that just made me very happy because being a fan for as long as I have, you guys are continuing to make new fans, ones that hadn't even heard of you before the show, and having them wanting to go and buy CDs, buy merch, meet you guys after the show. It's just awesome to see that. And once more people find out about this Patreon and future touring and the album process and all of that stuff, I just hope it continues to go this way it's going, because there's any band that deserves it after all the struggles you guys have been through, it's you guys.
Thank you guys so much. I mean, it's been really amazing. So definitely hoping that you're right, and that it does continue to go really well. But you know, we're definitely feeling really optimistic about the future for sure.
Awesome. Well, once again, thank you for taking the time to do all this. I've only hit the tip of the iceberg of all the questions I'd love to ask you, but I know you guys got more touring and you're not just able to spend the nights and stuff, so it's like I'll let you finish packing up and heading off to the next gig. But once again, thank you for taking the time to do this. And before we're done, is there anything else you'd like to mention that I haven't brought up yet?
No, just to really to say thank you so much to everyone listening that has supported us in any way possible, and also just to urge everyone to make sure that for any of the bands that you love, just get involved and support them, because you know, the reality is that the more people support the music they love, the more music will continue to be created.